Okay.
Very welcome, friends. So tonight we've got the number 89 of the Interfaith Prayer and Discussion. And we start with honoring Indigenous people and land by Tracy. And then we've got music and readings from the Holy Writings by there's Colin, Ian, Robert, Pina, Ali, Tracy, and Jung. And then we'll have a closing music, and I'll be introducing Angie, and then there will be a question and some discussion. So whenever you are ready, Tracy, if you can start.
Minu, I'm going to do the acknowledgement tonight.
Oh, sorry, Angie.
That's okay. I'm a guest acknowledger. So thank you everyone for having me here tonight to join this Interfaith Prayer and Discussion evening. I feel very blessed to be here with everyone. And tonight I'd like to invite everyone for a short meditation and to ask everyone to close their eyes for a moment. Place your feet on the floor, connect and feel the earth. Take a breath. Fill your heart with breath. Take another inhale and gather a little of that love that the heart so readily offers. Gather that love, and with your next breath, send some of that breath down into the earth. Stay aware of your breath. With every exhale, imagine that there are roots growing down from your feet into the earth. With every breath, your breath is traveling deep into earth, into the center, into heart energy. This is where we all connect. Energy can only ever be transformed. So take a moment here to hand over anything that is worrying you, any anxiety that is keeping you fully present. I'd like to acknowledge the beautiful ancestors and the traditional lands on which I sit, which is Bidjigal country in Coogee in Sydney. And I pay my respects to the elders, past and present and emerging, for their deep connection to this land and to the waters and the sky. Because through that deep love and connection, we have inherited infinite possibilities. I'd like to also extend that acknowledgement to your ancestors, wherever they are from around the globe. I'd also like to extend that acknowledgement and gratitude to all the ancestors of the land in which you're sitting, knowing that their care and connection has been there since millennia, and that it is available to everyone here today. Now, with your next breath, draw up that heart energy through the earth, up through the layers of rock, the sand, the clay, the rocks, the minerals, the soil. We understand that the root system of every tree and plant on the planet support each other through their root systems. The same as we connect here as well, supporting each other as a community. Feeling this beautiful energy, let's imagine that we are sitting in a circle on the earth, and we are all equal in that the sense of our ancestors who give us a big cosmic hug. Connecting with the blood that runs through your veins that connects you to your unique ancestry. Connecting to your community, think how you can share love and reciprocity. And as we breathe, we share the oxygen and the carbon dioxide with every being. We take a breath And exhale to acknowledge the land, the sky, the seas, and all the animals, insects, people, everything, and how we can deepen our connection to the earth around us. Stay with your breath, and may the rising sun bring you joy. May the moon restore your heart. May the wind inspire your dreams. May the rain wash away your tears. And for the rest of your days, may you find peace as you walk upon this beautiful earth. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Angie. It was beautiful.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
strive that your actions day by day may be beautiful prayers.
Strive that your actions day by day may be beautiful prayers. Turn towards God and seek always to do that which is right and noble. Enrich the poor, raise the fallen, comfort the sorrowful, bring healing to the sick, reassure the fearful, rescue the oppressed, bring hope to the hopeless, shelter the destitute. Strive that your actions day by day may be beautiful prayers. Turn towards God and seek always to do that which is right and noble. Enrich the poor, raise the fallen, comfort the sorrowful, bring healing to the sick, reassure the fearful, rescue the oppressed, bring hope to the hopeless, shelter the destitute. Strive that your actions day by day may be beautiful prayers. Turn towards God and seek always to do that which is right and noble. Enrich the poor, raise the fallen, comfort the sorrowful, bring healing to the sick, reassure the fearful, rescue the oppressed, bring hope to the hopeless, shelter the destitute. Strive that your actions day by day may be beautiful prayers. Turn towards God and seek always to do that which is right and noble. Enrich the poor, raise the fallen, comfort the sorrowful, bring healing to the sick, reassure the fearful, rescue the oppressed, bring hope to the hopeless, shelter the destitute.
O thou merciful God, O thou who art mighty and powerful, O thou most kind Father, these servants have gathered together, turning to thee, supplicating thy threshold, desiring thine endless bounties from thy great assurance. They have no purpose save thy good pleasure. They have no intention save service to the world of humanity. O God, make this assemblage radiant. Make the hearts merciful, confer the bounties of the Holy Spirit, endow them with a power from heaven, Bless them with heavenly minds. Increase their sincerity, so that with all humility and contrition they may turn to thy kingdom and be occupied with service to the world of humanity. May each one become a radiant candle. May each one become a brilliant star. May each one become beautiful in color and redolent of fragrance in the kingdom of God. O kind Father, confer thy blessings. Consider not our shortcomings. Shelter us under thy protection. Remember not our sins. Heal us with thy mercy. We are weak, thou art mighty. We are poor, thou art rich. We are sick, thou art the physician. We are needy, thou art most generous. O God, endow us with thy providence. Thou art the powerful, thou art the giver, thou art the beneficent. Baha'i Prayer by Abdu'l-Baha.
Now this is the time that you may arise and perform this most great service and become the cause of the guidance of innumerable souls. Thus, through this superhuman service, the rays of peace and conciliation may illumine and enlighten all the regions, and the world of humanity may find peace and composure. It's from Abdu'l-Baha, The Tablets of the Divine Plan.
Not from sacrifice, nor penance, nor gift-giving, nor with prayer shall any behold me. Only by fullest service, perfect faith, and utmost surrender am I known and seen and entered into. Who doeth all for me, who findeth me all, adoreth always, loveth all which I have made, and loveth me, for love's soul's end, that man unto me doth wend. Strive constantly to serve the welfare of the world. By devotion to selfless work, one attains the supreme goal in life. Do your work with the welfare of others in mind. At beginning, mankind and the obligations of selfless service were created together. Through selfless service, you'll always be fruitful and find the fulfillment of your desires. This is the promise of the Creator. Hinduism, Bhagavad Gita.
Make haste in doing good. Check your mind from evil, for the mind of him who is slow in doing meritorious actions delights in evil. Should a person commit evil, he should not do it again and again. He should not find pleasure therein. Painful is the accumulation of evil. Should a person perform a meritorious action, he should do it again and again. He should find pleasure therein. Blissful is the accumulation of merit. Buddha Scriptures, Buddhism, Dharmapada 11618.
Know ye all that God giveth life to the earth after its death. Already have we shown the signs plainly to you, that you may learn wisdom. For those who give in charity, men and women, and loan to God a beautiful loan, it shall be increased manifold to their credit, and they shall have besides a liberal reward. From Holy Quran.
Do nothing from selfishness or conceit, but in humility count others better than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. Christianity, Philippians 2, 3-4. But love ye your enemies, and do good, and lend, hoping for nothing again, and your reward shall be great. And ye shall be the children of the highest, for he is kind unto the unthankful and to the evil. Be ye therefore merciful, as your Father also is merciful. Judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, and ye shall be forgiven. Luke 6, 35-37.
It is incumbent upon every man of insight and understanding to strive to translate that which hath been written into reality and action. That one indeed is a man who, today, dedicated himself to the service of the entire human race. Be anxiously concerned with the needs of the age you live in and center your deliberations on its exigencies and requirements. Bahá'í Scriptures.
Oh God, my God, aid thou thy trusted servants to have loving and tender hearts. Help them to spread amongst all the nations of the earth the light of guidance that cometh from the company on high. Verily, thou art the strong, the powerful, the mighty, the all-subduing, the ever-giving. Verily, thou art the generous, the gentle, the tender, the most bountiful.
Thank you, Seva, for the beautiful collection of readings and music. And thank you to all the readers as well. So as is been said, tonight our presenter is Miss Angela Finn, and our topic is on service, a personal perspective on service. Angela is a marriage celebrant, and she is Sydney born and raised in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. She has been married for 33 years and has 3 adult children. Her career background is diverse on communication, marketing, education, and performing. What a beautiful collection of different areas. So very welcome, Angie, and thanks for accepting to be the presenter tonight. So I'll pass it on to you. And after Angie's presentation, we open up for any comments or any questions.
Thank you, Minyu, and thank you, everyone. I suppose in terms of my faith background, I grew up in a Catholic tradition. My grandparents, Irish Catholics, Catholicism very much played a huge role in my life. And it wasn't really until I was in my 40s that I actually left the Catholic Church. And it doesn't mean that I don't have that beautiful, when I left the Catholic Church, I didn't leave my love of Christ or my faith, but I had to be free. And wasn't an easy decision. I pretty much grieved for a whole year, but in doing so, I have found God in so many other ways and so many other, I suppose I see God much, much bigger than what I saw God when I was growing up in the Catholic Church. So it's been an amazing thing. And Mum has been part of that journey. So tonight's presentation is about my mum. And hang on for a minute. Sorry, everyone. I've got to share the screen, don't I? Okay, there we go. So can you see that, my mum? Yes? Yes, okay. So there's my beautiful mum, and there's me when I was about 10, and there's a tunic that Mum made for me. So tonight's presentation is about my service. Could you call it service? I don't know, but it's to do with my beautiful mum. My mum grew up Catholic. She was a very fearful Catholic. My dad, very strict Catholic. We said the rosary every night. There was a lot of anxiety in our house around Catholicism. And but I loved all the traditions. I wanted to be a priest when I was a little girl. I'd play church. I'd read Jesus books at Christmas time. It was very much a full part of my life, and I suppose it's still stayed with me, and it's given me a love of life. So there's Mum. So now we move on. There's my family. So Mum and Dad, there's me. I've got 4 older brothers and a little sister. And my dad died when I was 20, very suddenly, at 58. And so Mum, beautiful Mum, was 52. She raised a little Elizabeth. I was 20. I suppose I was moving on. And Mum had to get on with life, which she did. And she's always had a big love of life and love of people. There's Mum with Gough Whitlam. She's always been very much an activist, Labor Party. There she is recently with Tanya Pepazek. Mum gets around. Anyway, when Mum was 87, she had a fall, and at that time, she went into hospital, and then the doctors said, "Look, your mum's got Alzheimer's. She's had the fall. She can't." The period in hospital actually accelerated her confusion, and so it was deemed that she could no longer live on her own. She'd have to go to an aged care home. And I was going through a tough time at that stage. And what was curious was that it sort of, there was no other option. It was just mum can't live on her own. She's got to go to an aged care home. So we researched, we found a really nice one, but mum went into that. But I knew mum hated it because mum is a free spirit. And even though she's got the dementia, I could tell that she hated being trapped. But it was a hard time, but in true mum style, she knew she had to get on with things and make the best of the situation. For me personally, I felt that, and my brothers and my sister, that a burden had been lifted from us in that we now relinquished our care of mum in a sense. And I say that in an honest way because I now felt that mum, I didn't feel guilty if I didn't ring mum every day. I knew mum had the care of the place, you know, to give her food and everything like that and would watch over her. And I'd take her out once a week and she'd always say, oh, I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back. And then I'd say, look, mum, you'll be right. You know, I'll see you again next week. It was okay. Look, it was the way it was. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is COVID hit. Is that at my next slide? No. Yeah, COVID hit. And when COVID hit, and on the March 26, 2020, I got an email saying that mum's place was in lockdown and I wouldn't be able to see her. I felt extreme pain, like nothing I've ever felt before, because it was a pain of powerlessness, that I had been told that I couldn't see my mum and I couldn't get access to her. And I knew that my mum with her dementia in that 2 years had just progressed, and she could no longer use a phone. She could no longer self-soothe herself. She was very distressed anyway, leading up to COVID-19 with the bushfires and everything. And to be told that I couldn't have access to her, it felt so wrong to me, because I put her in my shoes, and I felt if I was a child and I was the parent and couldn't have access to my child, I would feel, well, I've got to do something about this. And so I consulted with my brothers and sisters, and at this stage my workplace had moved us all to home. So I was working from home with the computer. And so I said to my brothers and my sister, I'm going to take mum out of the aged care home. I don't know how long it'll be, you know, may only be 2 weeks for this COVID lockdown, but there's no way I'm going to leave mum in the aged care home. And of course I discussed it with my husband and my daughter, and it was probably the worst 2 weeks that I've had in a long time, because I had so many feelings of, can I do this? Can I look after mum? Can I work full time? What effects are going to have on my husband, my daughter? I had to sort of kick my daughter out of home so that she'd like to find her somewhere to live so mum could move into her bedroom. It was done. It was certainly done. We did it in the 2 weeks, and we picked mum up in April 9th. What we thought would be a 2 week stay. What really disturbed me at that time was, and I don't mean to say this in offence to anyone, but I couldn't get over how we as a society were willing to allow to not see our elderly people. And for me, the most vulnerable were going to be locked away, and we were going to expect that the aged care workers could do it. And whilst I had full respect for the aged care workers and the management, this was a crisis, and I knew they weren't equipped to handle this crisis. And so I felt I have to take responsibility for the care of my mother. And so it was sort of, for me, it was it was a decision I had to make. It wasn't sort of something that I had a choice to. I know that sounds crazy, and please ask me questions later. But anyway, I took Mum out. This was the photo of Mum the first day, the morning of the first night that she came, and there's Belle, our dog. And, you know, clothes-wise, you know, it was all very much a rush because I couldn't actually get into the home because they wouldn't let me physically get in. So I just had to say, look, pack a bag of something, Mum's clothes, and we'll go from there. This next one is Mum, you know, there's her dentures in the bowl there. What does Mum eat, you know? So I know it sounds bizarre. Mum's a human being. I knew I looked after children. I knew I could look after Mum. So I just thought, well, I have to do it. I'm going to do it. But it was a learning curve. It was a huge learning curve. And I realized that there's plenty of books out there on how to look after a child, but not a lot of books on how to look after an elderly person with incontinence and with dementia. There's Mum, you know, eventually I got headphones because Mum would want to, you know, listen to the TV late at night. And there's Mum, you know, just while I was working away on the computer, she'd rest there in the front room. But we sort of, there's Mum. Of course, Mum would go walking, wandering. It was even interesting how I would work out how to keep Mum inside if I went out. It was always a struggle to know. Here's Mum, like leaving Mum on her own and say, Mum, will you put lipstick on? Well, that's what, it's nothing. I'm not showing this photo to make fun of Mum. It's just that her dementia, she's lost all ability to use her hands the way she used to. Mum could sew, she, you know, did amazing things. But Mum and I, we developed a wonderful relationship because Mum is my first teacher, and Mum taught me to play, and Mum taught me imagination. And so having Mum with me got me to rekindle that play and imagination. Anyway, probably in April, a month after, there was a post on the ABC saying, would you consider bringing your loved one out of aged care? And I responded saying, well, actually, I've done that. And then the ABC contacted me and they said, can we come out and do a segment on you and your mum and family? And so here it is. So I'll play it for you and hopefully you have a look at it. If it works, will it work?
You have to use the share sound.
Okay, hang on.
They pause it and then share the sound. Otherwise, we can't hear.
Okay, where's share sound, you know?
Do you see any 3 dots?
Yep.
One of them should show.
Yep, got it. Okay, I'll go back. Okay, ready, everyone?
It's a nice one. And for some people, working from home means that's now an option.
Angela Finn and her husband Joe had been looking forward to being empty nesters. The last of their 3 children was about to leave home. Then COVID struck.
My mum was in aged care, she had dementia, and I knew that when the lockdown came and we weren't allowed to visit Mum at all, that Mum would be very stressed.
4 months ago, after much family discussion, her 87-year-old mother Pam moved out of her nursing home and in with her daughter.
Why I thought that it was possible was again because of COVID-19, in that my workplace now asked us all to work from home. So I knew I had that flexibility that I could be here and care for Mum while still working from home.
Look, he's here. The grandchildren have pitched in to help.
We're worried we weren't going to be able to visit you maybe with the virus, so this has been
That's right.
the best.
Yes. Since she's been here in the last 4 months, Mum's alive again and she smiles and laughs and she loves seeing all the kids that call in.
It's your turn to be
to be spoiled.
It's meant the whole family are seeing a lot more of each other.
I'm not working at the moment, so, you know, it's been a blessing in disguise because I'm able to spend this wonderful time with my mum.
I'm very fortunate, yes, that I've got them around. I think COVID has given me certainly, and I think our society, a chance to reflect on how we do approach aged care.
There are families right across the country and in New South Wales and Queensland who are contemplating what do we do if we want to take our family member home. And that's a really difficult discussion because people are often in residential aged care because their level of function or their cognitive decline is such that it's hard to care for them at home.
Here's your cup of tea. Oh, thank you. With your Scotch finger.
When her mother could no longer cope on her own, Angela said she thought aged care was the only option. Now she wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh, hey Google, play Berlin. Tucking her into bed at night is a little treasure that I wouldn't know if not that Mum is here living with me. Even the other night she said, thank you for tucking me in. I said, Mum, you tucked me in for many, many years. Now it's my turn. Deep, smiling, just like you.
Ursula Malone, ABC News.
I'll take that off. Oh, sorry, everyone. Here's Mum reading the paper. This is interesting. I'll just show you this one. So Mum would have lots of different hallucinations and delusions. This is one that Mum, it won't go long. It's one Mum, she was very anxious. She wanted to get dressed quickly.
I'd like to meet you all individually as soon as I get myself settled.
So I didn't know what Mum was talking about here, but she's actually a school teacher and she can see children.
Just sit there and I'll take your name. Oh, there we are. Or I'll get my secretary later. I'll just talk to the parents for the moment. Sorry. Every minute counts with education. So I'll have to be a bit brighter and ask everyone to sit down and to hear my apology. Okay. Daisy, will you call, are you Daisy?
So I'm just showing you a few things, I suppose. Just there's Mum with Belle, the dog. When the Black Martyrs protest was on, Mum and I were watching, and then I said, well, we could make a sign and go up the top at Coogee and you could sit there. Anyway, because there was no old people around during the COVID lockdown, Mum would attract so much attention, and it was just incredible, the power of an older person. And I still find it now. COVID has brought old people, they've been shut away, and it's sort of really upsetting. Here's Mum one night during COVID when she was quite distressed about COVID.
Bloody COVID. I'm out of my mind. This COVID, I can't get in touch really with my grandchildren and my sons and my son's wife. All these things is holding me up. I get a chance, I'm home, and it's all mucked up. Oh, I'll have to try and get over this cranky error because I don't want any of those little babies hearing me speak so bloody clovis.
I'm sorry, everyone. This is good. Anyway, Mum gets around. Here's Mum. I've taken to the movies. Here she is with Hugo Weaving, eating ice creams, getting her hair at the hairdressers. Then we ended up getting in the Woman's Weekly, would you believe? Because they saw us on the ABC, so they got in touch with us. There's Mum getting photographed by the Women's Leaking Mum in the city. Then Mum and I was working for a charity at that time, so we started doing we raised money for children. So here's Mum and I said to Mum, you've got to work with me. Even though she couldn't read to children because she'd lost that ability to read, she just loved working with children. So I'll just play this. It's a really cute little video I made to raise money. Well, just grandchildren. Oh, Mum, going to the ocean. That was always interesting with Mum. But people would just love, there's a couple of guys, people would just come up to Mum. Mum has taught me so much about living and about the best thing in life's are free. Oh, there's Mum after birthday. There's Mum, late at night, Mum would get into these states where she wanted to go home to her childhood home. There was nothing I could do except go with it. So sometimes we'd walk the streets of Coogee late at night until Mum exhausted herself. Here's Mum and I, we did, through dementia, the art gallery had a program about art. So Mum and I do that on Zoom. Took Mum this year to Davy Jones, where she used to work for 17 years. There's Mum trying to cook a cake. I mean, it looks very glamorous, everything. It's not that glamorous. Mum can't do much, but we do a bit of drawing at time and play a lot of music and singing. Here's Mum back at her old home. Some afternoons, Mum would just want to go back to Ashfield, trying to read. Voting, even though Mum really couldn't vote, I just wanted her to be part of the world, which is what she's always wanted to be. Anyway, just before Christmas, Mum has gone now into an aged care home, but the experience of living with Mum for that 18 months, I know her so well now that I'm now more of an advocate for her. It was so sad this year. We've had a lockdown and I avoided the lockdown and I avoided being away from Mum. But by this stage now, when a lockdown does happen in an aged care home, at least now we can still visit. So we've got through that stage. And this was Mum and I on Saturday. I took Mum out for the afternoon and we went to the city because that's all Mum really wants, to be with the people. And she has such an ability to connect with people, and basically it just comes down to love. And Mum has taught me, and I suppose that's the part of, sorry to get upset, but you know, it crosses all religions, and that's God is love. And Mum's taught me to see God in everything and everybody. And so no matter what, the essence of God you can see, and that beauty that Mum has given to me, it's just everywhere, and it's the most beautiful gift, and it's being part of the world and sharing it with others. Anyway, I'll finish off on this little video. It's just Mum and I down at the Quay last Saturday. And we just had a beautiful time eating chocolate and just enjoying all the people. And again, a lot of people came up to us and joined in dancing with Mum. And she's just a little treasure. She's 89 now, 89 and a half. I'm looking at the moment of putting a book. I'm writing a book actually because I really want to suggest to people to have a gap year. Like I know people have a gap year when they're young, but for middle-aged people like myself, to even say take 4 months off work or do something to spend time with your parent in a way that you're totally giving to them. It doesn't have to be, you know, in a dramatic role. Like they could still be in an aged care home if that's where they are. But I suppose what I'm trying to say is that before COVID, before I lived with Mum for that period, Mum was sort of an afterthought because I had my life, you know, and I know Mum's going to die, you know, I don't know when, but the time I've spent with her has just reawakened in me what's important in life, and it's given me an ability to slow down and to find joy again. And I think that joy is in play, and the joy is in not knowing anything. It's just being alive. And Mum just lives in the moment. I mean, anything that we do, you know, an hour later, Mum she'll have no recollection of it, but it doesn't matter. And I just feel that people, when they say, oh, your mum's got dementia, your dad's got dementia, they think if they can't remember things, that's like something really bad. And I want to say, what is memory? Like memory is part of, it's not just the mind, it's a spirit, it's a touch. It's like Mum would call me all sorts. Sometimes I was Mum's friend, sometimes I was Mum's mother. It didn't bother me at all, whatever Mum wanted to call me. But it was hard to explain, but the connection is there because I know her and she knows me. And I don't know, it's hard to explain. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. I'm going to cry. I just want to thank God for Mum, for the gift of love, you know. And
He's blessed to have you as a daughter.
Oh, not really, Siva. I'm just me, you know. I don't know. I don't know. I just think, you know, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's just that I suppose being a parent myself, like you, I know you do so much for your children. And I suppose I just wanted to, it's not, I suppose, you know, the commandment, honour thy father and thy mother. I don't know. I suppose it's really just the vulnerable. If Mum probably could have coped on her own, I may not have jumped in like I did, but because she couldn't,
yes,
she was very vulnerable. That's why I've stepped in. So I don't know. And I don't want to come across as judgmental of anyone or any decision anyone makes with their loved ones. This is just my story, that's all.
wow.
Thanks, Angie. What a beautiful story. What a beautiful story, giving back to your mom. And also during that special challenging time to be with her and for her to feel safe and for both of you be happy. And I could see in her photos so much peace. It was amazing. So much peace and joy as well. I think, you know, she shares your joy too. That's beautiful.
Maybe you can stop the sharing and
yes.
What a beautiful service for 18 months, but now it still continues in different ways.
It does. It continues. I even had a meeting. It continues in that I've grown to, because I am mum's advocate. I know, like today I was in a meeting with 6 other people from the aged care home because, you know, I could express what mum's needs are and how we can work together. I see it now as shared care. I don't see that they have the responsibility of my mum. It's just together we can do it now, you know, because it was very difficult 24/7. In the end, I gave up my job because I couldn't do it. It was very hard. And my husband was really wonderful, and my family were wonderful, but it also had a strain on my relationship with my husband too, I presume. I'm not 100% sure, but I presume.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that. I definitely share with you my sentiment because I looked after my mother as well for 3 years. Because for her, I think the extra issue was that she didn't speak any English, and she has some dementia. So it was much harder as well if we had to put her in the nursing home. So I had her at home, and it was not easy, but yet she was very peaceful. But thank you for sharing, and thanks for sharing all the beautiful videos and photos as well. So now maybe we can hear from other friends if you've got any questions or comments to make. Can raise, oh, Ahmad has raised his hand. Please go ahead, Ahmad.
Thank you, Angie, for your presentation. It was very emotional, very nice. I have the same experience. I had to care for mom for a short time, and we had to put her into nursing home as well, and we were visiting her every week, and the same pattern that you're saying happened to us as well. But I'm wondering whether you've seen that documentary where they took children to these nursing homes, and it brought life to those elderly people. And maybe in the future, the pattern would be different, rather than the way we're putting the elderly into these nursing homes and forget about them. The pattern would be totally different, would be a community thing.
I think you're right, Ahmad. I think there is change, isn't there? It is great. Yeah, it's a great show, that one. Yes.
And in the, I wouldn't say third world countries, but countries in East, they keep their parents with themselves. You know, say in Iran, where I come from, Pakistan, India, those places, the East, they keep their parents with the family.
I think it's beautiful. That was something I was thinking, why we're so cold in the West. Like, we've got a really warped sense of the elderly. You know, we put them away, don't we? Whereas the East, it's elderly are revered. They're part of the family.
Yeah, perhaps the difficulty is shocking for people, and that's why they take their parents to nursing homes. I know that, for example, for my mom, it had become very difficult because every one of us were working, were away, and the care wasn't there 24 hours.
No.
Thanks, Ahmad. Colin, and then Siva, and after that, Young.
I think Siva was best.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't notice that.
Okay.
Siva, go for it, please.
Well, first of all, I thank you, Angela, for this presentation. When you said that you are going to talk about what you have been doing with your mom, within me, I was wondering, oh, I don't know how it is going to be, but anyway, anyone can talk on any topic that they are passionate about. That is good for unity. So I didn't. But now, having listened to your talk, actually, it has opened many things to many people, definitely. First of all, I had to acknowledge Zore, who lost her father very recently. She's here. And Marina, her mother she's elderly mother had an injury and she has to go to the hospital, and probably all everyone's mind, their relationship with their parents and their life and their children, I think they would have a lot of thought-provoking thing. So thank you for that wonderful talk. You also picked up certain things. When your mom had dementia, and she was talking, sometimes she doesn't remember things, or you don't know what she's talking about when there are no people. But and you touched upon the question of memory. According to Baha'i faith and my understanding, the soul or the person perceives things in two different ways. One through the bodily organs, that is the eyes and the ears and the like. The other one is without the bodily organs. Now, just like this, we have these external powers. The soul also have powers, and imagination, thought, comprehension, memory are the powers of the soul. And also it is said that the capacity and power of the soul is not diminished by the physical ailment. So whenever you did talk to her, and you can see her smile and all these things, I'm sure her soul was completely aware of what is happening. It is the internal connection between the soul and the brain, which is the fifth power of the soul, called the common faculty, that was also working, but the brain part of it to express outside, that was not working. So I believe we should not assume when someone is in coma or in dementia or of any kind, we should not assume that they are not able to understand or communicate with us. Yes, of course, they have a difficulty in communicating with us, but they can understand. So I felt when she was dancing and being happy with your grandchildren and things like that, I can see that. Even when she was talking about the children, you know, she was a teacher and she was talking to the children. We really don't know how the power of the soul, we don't know, and what they see, the soul sees, we don't know. So that is one thing. The other thing is that you said that the mother talked to you many times, so now it is your turn. It's a lesson for all of us that we have to take care of our parents. Of course, my parents are no longer living, but and also to teach our children and grandchildren how they should. Whether or not we can look after them at our home or in aged care, that is a different matter. Traditionally, yes, from Sri Lanka, India, and the like in the East, like Ahmed said, traditionally parents are looked after by the families. But things are changing there too now, gradually. And sometimes it is not possible practically for us to do that at our home. But I remember one expert on the ABC or TV shows, he pleaded, if you are worried about your parents, when they are fit and well and they can think properly, you consult, you talk to them, find out what they would like to be treated like when they are at this stage, and then give them what they wanted. So anyway, there we are all. Most of us are in the, with the ticket to the grave. Myself.
That's true, Siva. No, that's very good. I really enjoyed that, what you said, especially about the soul, because
Yes.
it's so true, isn't it?
Yes.
Someone also said to me, I'm not sure, what I found interesting was that Mum had to relinquish her dignity. I don't mean her dignity, but whereas like I was showering Mum, you know, doing her toileting, and someone said that in Buddhism, that this is, your mum is like, she's sort of like, it's beautiful what she's doing because she's doing a full circle, like she's getting, like her ego is being, I don't understand it, but I could sort of, I don't know, I felt it. I can feel it, whatever it is. Like it's a circle.
That's right.
Yes. Yeah.
The cycle, maybe.
Yes.
Thank you. So Colin, Young, and then Pina.
Thank you, Angie. That was a joyful talk. There's photos and videos and everything you said. It was really wonderful. I just had to turn the screen off while I wiped my eyes, but actually it was joyful. But I just had a question about the transition, you know, perhaps before your mum went to a nursing home, you know, the first time. How does that go? Because, you know, your mum makes dinner for you and then later on you're caring for her. There must be an awkward time when you're not quite sure how to do things. What's that look like?
Yeah, it's really hard, Colin. It was, I suppose looking back, I didn't know Mum was struggling with dementia. I didn't know. I honestly didn't know. I look back now and I think, oh my God, my mum was losing purses, and I could say, Mum, why aren't you, you know, in her keys and all this sort of thing, as she was struggling those few years before she had the fall, actually, even. But it was huge trying to find a home that was what we felt was suitable. I mean, so many people probably here has gone through that as well. Yeah, it's very, very weird, very, very weird. It's a lot of, I suppose, acceptance on both my part, my siblings and Mum, you know, that things have changed. Trying to support Mum the best we could. I think there's a lot that can be done to support people more. I think it's an area that, you know, it's really going to come into the fore about all these feelings that happened and how do you manage it, that transition. I think it's something that needs a lot of improvement on, Colin. Yeah. Education, yeah.
Are there support services which tell you what to do?
No.
Okay.
Well, there are. Oh, look, I'm a pretty passive type of person, but even when I took Mum out of the home, I don't think I've ever felt anger like I've ever felt it with like my gov and my aged care. And I can navigate computers and everything. So I was like screaming when I'd get off a phone call, how are people coping who can't even like do this? You know, it's really, I mean, I know we've had the Royal Aged Care Commission, so things are going to change and improve. And I think it's an area, yeah, I'd like to help out with maybe in that capacity. Yeah, don't know.
Thank you.
Young, and Marina, and then Tracy.
Hi, Angie. Thank you so much for your talk. By the look at the photograph with Lam, with your family. It looked like it was taken in 1995 or something, middle of 95, because it was the time that I was introduced to God Willam and the First Lady. So both of them were very nice and they're looking after people like us. Anyway, with your story, I think you should feel like you have so much blessings than anybody else that I know of, because your mom got you and you got your mom for a long, long time. You know, like, you know, more than anybody that I know. So you should pray and thank you, God, for the blessing. When you breathe, you look up the skies, you say thank you abundantly for whatever you gave me. You never cry. You have to be strong, because just like me, my mom worked in a medical surgery clinic, day and night public hospital, and I lost her when I was 18 years of age. So she worked so hard. 18 years of age, you know, a girl that grown up, lost her mom by, you know, public work. So therefore you have to say, thank you to God. You should never cry, should never feel weak, because you think about Buddha, he left his family. He went for enlightenment. So you see, your mom is in God's hand. She will see God. She always see God anyway by the look of her face. She's smiling, she's happy. She reminds me of the Queen. The Queen of England, always happy, smiling, you know, joyful person. So why are you crying for?
I cried for joy, actually.
You shouldn't be crying, okay? And so you talk about detachment now. If you think about life in a spiritual way, you know, divine healing, spiritual way, you should never cry. You have to be strong. Like Buddha left the family because he got a look for God. So that's all my support to you.
Thank you.
Because I feel you are so blessed and your mom is so blessed and you can't ask for it anymore. Because God will say it's not fair. If you think about people who lost their mom at an early age.
Yes, I know. I feel very blessed. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, so I pray for you. Don't worry. You have a very strong support and your mom is just happy like a queen.
She is.
Yeah, she is. You've done a good job. You've done a great job, you know. Whether your mom thinks you as a diamond, and my mom thinks of me as a diamond.
Yeah.
But they can't keep the diamonds.
No.
Because they belong to God.
That's right.
Okay, yes. So you think about spiritual way, then you feel happy.
Yeah.
Thanks you.
Thank you.
Marina, Tracy, and then Siva.
Hi, Angie. It was a nice talk, but I just want to know, how did your daughter feel when you had to bring your mother, when your daughter might not have been ready to move out of house?
Marina, that's a very good, it was something we struggled with. She was 25. She was looking to move out that year. So that was it was on the cards, but it was sort of done in a hurry. How did she feel? Angry, I suppose. I also felt that I was abandoning her, but it was almost a case of I just felt, you know, we all have to make decisions sometimes for those who need, who don't have the capacity at this time. It was an unexpected crisis, and at that time we thought it wouldn't be for long, but then it went on. But I just look at it really now that it was a growing up period. So many things happen in life, don't they, sometimes, when you have to just dig deep and grow up pretty quick. So she had to do that, yes. She is a nurse. She's in ICU at the moment, so she's sort of it's sort of, I suppose, in another way, the whole experience for her, I think she sort of draws deep on it, really, actually, now, Marina, because she sees that she has done her part to help her grandmother. And my other daughter, when I was working, one day a week, I'd have to go into the and she'd come and work all day here to look after mum. So that they all had to step up, my 3 kids. So it was sort of, I don't know, an experience where they had to sort of do that. But yeah, it was tough on the Marina.
And you have got siblings of, I think, 4 brothers and 1 sister or something.
Yes.
And did you feel that you being the eldest daughter after the boys, after the elder brothers, was to take up the responsibility compared to your sister, younger sister?
Yes.
What made you between 2 girls to decide who is to take over?
I did. I actually felt a lot of anger with my brothers. Like I said in the opening, there's anxiety in our house. A lot of us have suffered. Some of my brothers became so anxious with COVID that they didn't see mum for a whole year. So, and they couldn't seem to deal with mum's dementia, so they wouldn't actually even ring her, which was a struggle at times. My younger sister's got young children, so I couldn't really draw on her much. And she was living in Picton, so it was an hour and a half away. So there was just one brother who was that constant helper for me. So mind you, the experience they've all changed now that mum's in the home. They all take a turn one day a week to visit her. So it's been a learning experience. I've had to educate them, I suppose, in that regard. And I think seeing their mum in the Woman's Weekly and on the ABC also helped for them to stand up a little bit, to take a bit more of a role with mum. But, you know, when I look back, mum sort of, I don't know what it was like in everyone else's house, but the boys got away with a lot. You know, mum would say, oh, they can't do it, they're a boy, you know, and it's certainly, things are changing now, thank goodness. You know, like with my own son, I don't say that. I say, you're capable, you know, you can do this. But yeah, anyway, it is what it is, Marina, isn't it? I mean, look at all us women. Sorry, blokes, but honestly, us women, we do a lot of work.
Yes, I agree.
Thank you for that, Angie, but it is a hard decision.
Thanks.
And just finally, one small thing, if I was to ask you, if you had your mother's responsibility take over, and if you had to take over a responsibility of a child too, which one would you think we should do? Whether to bring your mom home, or you had to care for a child?
If I had a child, like up to the age of what, 15?
Whatever, 20, adult, but you had to take care because of their needs or something, and
Which
you had to care for your mother, is it wrong in any way to care for the needy one of who's younger, or a needy one who is in their 80s, 85s, whatever?
Marina, I think I'd go for the child.
Mm.
That sounds awful. I feel like I'm playing cards or something.
Well, it is playing cards, but I just want to ask the opinion. Thank you.
I feel a big response. If I've delivered the child, I had the child. So it's my responsibility foremost to care for the child. That's how I see it. I took my responsibility as a parent very seriously. My job is done now. Like when my kids got to adulthood, I did see that my job is done. So I don't interfere in their lives now. Like I see, yeah, my job is done.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marina. Tracy?
I just wanted to say thanks, Angie, for your raw, and heart, because it opens the door for all of us that you're so courageous in sharing yourself and your heart. And even when you, I'm going to contradict Jung now, but even when you cried saying that God is love, it felt real. It wasn't a theory on a blackboard or out of a book. It's from your living heart and experience. And those moments where you know, and your mum have just got those moments, just being together and to treasure the moment. Life is just a string of moments. So to see, you know, that demonstrated and you sharing that and being that, you know, thank you.
Thanks, Tracy. Yeah, it is. It's utter, God is love, God is joy. It's utter that. Yeah.
Thanks, Tracy. Siva, Zohre, and then Jung.
There are many to ask questions, but I thought I had to a couple of questions. One, that you said that your mom was your first teacher, so that's an important thing. But she was a very strong Catholic, and you grew up as a Catholic, and but now you're sort of your love for Jesus is still there, but you are no longer sort of Catholic. I just want to find out, how is your spiritual journey and where you are at, and how do you see because we are having these interfaith meetings, trying to bring about understanding among different religions, that the foundation of all the religions are one because it comes from the one God. So how your spirituality now fits in? That's one.
It's a very good question, Siva. You know, it's something that I you know, all the, like, tonight's readings were beautiful, and the songs were beautiful. I think I just see, I suppose it's an acceptance of seeing now beauty in so many different ways now, because growing up Catholic, it was so, even though Catholic means universal, but it was so, it was too much. Like, this is great in interfaith because it's where it's at, really, because growing up Catholic, I was too much in that world of Catholicism. So now my spirituality is it's so much bigger, you know. And I suppose looking at all the different faiths, it's, you know, I don't know. I'm just I just see myself now as a I've always seen God the Creator. So God lives in me and I live in God, and all of us do. So it's sort of just, God is everywhere, and God, you know, it's just great. I can't tell you how great it is. I mean, I you know, and I must admit, the gift of the Aboriginal spirituality, that's just blowing my mind. Yeah, it's just wonderful.
Yes. In fact, my second question was about the indigenous thing. But I saw you and your mom were sort of activists in the indigenous cause. Is that comes from your mom, or how or why you took so strong? Because in fact, to everyone here, I met Angie at the Wednesday's Women's Reconciliation Network meeting. Every Wednesday at 7 p.m. they have, and they read the Uluru Statement every time, and they get a reflection and discuss how we can give voice to the indigenous people. So I attend this meeting, and sometimes Perimal here and in also attend. That's where I met Angie, and I asked whether she can give a talk. So that's just a side message, but I just want to know, how did you get involved? Why you got involved? Was it from your mom?
Yes, my mum and my dad have always been very big in social justice, and even like when I was a baby, I was born in 1965, but mum says, you know, I was on the marches, mum was on the marches against the Vietnam War. So they've always been speaking up for people, and mum's been involved like throughout her faith journey with Christian, it's the word ecumenical churches. And I don't know if anyone knows Dorothy Day from America, but mum was big with Dorothy Day, who apparently is on her way to becoming a saint at the moment in the Catholic Church. So mum's always standing up for people. So yeah, that's she again's been my teacher in that respect. Yeah.
So what is your message for the friends here about the indigenous?
Oh, mum. I mean, I've even got videos of mum because I talked to mum about the Uluru Statement of the Heart, and she's done some good videos for me. Well, the message is that, you know, the injustices that have been done, and it's just, you've got to, everybody has to live with dignity and respect and love. And what has occurred here with colonization and the systems that are in place in this country, it's time for change, time for truth-telling, time to acknowledge our Indigenous people, to give a voice to Parliament so that their voice can be heard, and time for us to embrace not only our First Nations people, but all of us who are all new settlers to this country. To me, by adopting the Uluru Statement of the Heart, it will be a healing for us all, because I think we all can benefit from this beautiful culture that's been here for, you know, 60,000 years. And it's something that will actually unite all of us who live on this beautiful land as one, because we're all, doesn't matter if we've come here a year ago or 50 years ago, or you know, my ancestors came in the early 1900s or the late 1880s, but we're all new settlers here. So it's time to embrace the most magnificent culture, because they have such an understanding of the relationship to land, to insects, to everything. And it's so respectful. It's just so beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Zohre, please.
Yes, thank you, Minu. Yes, thanks, Angie, for sharing you know, your love story with your mom. And I think it was beautiful. And also I wanted to thank all the friends for sending beautiful messages for me, for my dad. Yeah, I think I wasn't that fortunate because my dad was in Iran, and I left Iran about 40 years ago or 35 years ago. And I haven't been to Iran since. But we were lucky that my brother just went to Iran 7 months ago, and then my dad had a fall, and he couldn't recover from that fall. And my brother just looked after him so well, that because you were saying all that the women are doing, but in our case, my brother really did 24 hours work, day and night, and we can't really thank him so much. And yeah, he had to go. I think he had a good life. My dad lived for 97 years old, and yeah, he came here to Australia a few times, and last time he came for my son's wedding, and he was all happy. But then this last few months we couldn't really talk to him or do anything. But we were very fortunate for my brother being there. Thank
So
you.
wonderful.
Yes.
Zion, I'm so sorry. And wow, what an amazing life. 97.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Beautiful dad.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I just
God bless his soul.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Santa?
Oh, I thought it was young. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yes, she's moved down here. Yes. The screen changes, so I lose sight. Yes. Sorry, you. Please go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Angie, and thank you, Minu. Angie talk about indigenous voice. Now we have voice in the Parliament House. We have group of people who got elected as independent MPs, cross-bench. But the bad news that Parliament House cut staff. In the old days, and one MP got 5 staff minimum. Now, in last July report, one MP got staff reduced to 1. So you know how much work they're gonna do, how much work they're gonna bring to the people who really live in hope and hopeless. So we're talking about indigenous people. You hear the voice, represent each ethnic group, but whether we can create a vibrant community or not depend on the service that we're supposed to provide, and we haven't got staff. And in social media said, lack of skills, lack of wage increase, they want people to work for volunteer. So you just think about it. So now the second one, I want to talk about that you have choice. Because the way your story telling me that you have so many choices. But a lot of women, they didn't have choice. Just like Princess Kelly, Grace Kelly, she died of 52 years of age, very young. She got 3 kids and she died young. So you have to say thank you to God because God gave you so much blessing and you should not cry. I just want to make you happy.
Yeah. Thanks, Yon. Vasanta?
Thank you very much, Angie. I just was really brought us memories about our parents. But I want to know how difficult was it for you to leave your mom in the nursing home? Because we found it very difficult to take her to the nursing home.
It's so hard for Santi, isn't it? Especially after this period that I've had with her. I'm still struggling with it now. I miss her, but I try and go as much as I can now. But it is tough, isn't it? It really is. I suppose I've just resigned myself to realizing that I also have to look after myself now. Been going through a lot lately, so I've got to take care of my health as well. And I know Mum would want that for me. So it's really just calling on more people now to step up a bit more. Now that, we're out of COVID and the worst has passed, and just helping with that, Vasanthi. But yes, I know Mum right now, right at this very moment, I know Mum would much prefer to be right here next to me and me tucking her into bed than to have a stranger do it. But it is what it is. Yeah.
Because it was my brother who was looking after for about 25, 30 years. She was living with her, but he still feels guilty that finally he has to send her to the nursing home. But it is as the girls decided that because it was too much pressure on him, because he has to wake up several times in the night to take care of her. At the same time, he has to work and look after his children. So we decided she should go to the nursing home, but it was very difficult, and still we feel he feels very guilty that he has sent her to the nursing home. That's why I asked her. And also,
Yeah.
like what Zore said,
And she didn't like going to the nursing home either.
she didn't like it because actually I was there. She lived in England with my brother, but whenever she is serious, in the morning the calls come and the next minute I leave everybody here and I am in the plane to see my mom. Luckily, I was lucky my husband supported me every time I wanted to leave. But for that last time before she went to the nursing home, it was I who said that it is time that my brother has to rest her. But she said, do you think I am homeless? That because mentally she was alert. There is nothing wrong with her mentally, but physically she couldn't do anything. So it was really hard for us to send her to the nursing home. But
that would be so hard with her. It's the body, isn't it? And her brain so alert. And do you feel like, for me, I sort of realize now that it doesn't matter what age you are in life, you're always going to be called to deal with challenges or to deal with that part of living. It doesn't mean that, like even your mum, like my mum, she has to get used to other people again, like being at school, virtually, it's just, there's no cutoff, is there, with life? Like it can be at any age.
That's right. It was very difficult.
Yeah.
Tina, you already raised your hand before, but do you have a question, Tina? Earlier you raised.
Yes. I had difficulty unmuting. Yes, I had. Yes, thank you so much for your beautiful story. It's awakening. And it's just so touching, so moving. We can never replace our parents. We only have one mother. So, you had your mother for a long time. I didn't have a memory of my mother because I was only 9 months when she was hospitalized. I don't remember even a voice. I wish I could remember even a little bit, even a voice, even how she moves, how she smiles. But no, I don't have. But everybody says I look like her. And the stories about her, about how so soft-spoken, how so kind, how so generous. And I was telling to myself, even though my mother was not there to tell me how to behave, but the way the other people talk about her, it's like, I can make her happy. I can be like her. So that's a consolation. So when I hear a beautiful story about my mother, and I say, I think I can make her happy. I think I can be like her.
Yeah.
I try.
Yeah.
And really, even it's in the Baha'i writings about the blessings of children. It says, there are also certain sacred duties on children toward parents, which duties are written in the book of God as belonging to God. The children's prosperity in this world and the kingdom depends upon the good pleasure of parents. And without this, they will be in manifest loss. This is from the Baha'i writings. The questions and answers, an appendix to the Kitabi Aktas. Baha'u'llah lays upon children the obligation of serving their parents and categorically states that after the recognition of the oneness of God, the most important of all duties for children is to have due regard for the rights of their parents. That is from the tablets of Abdul Baha. You are blessed, so as your parents, so as your mother. Thank you.
Thank you, Pina. I think you're beautiful. I think I don't know your mum, but I feel like I'm feeling her through you. A beautiful, beautiful woman. And yeah, memory, yeah. But that her soul is you too. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Pina. I was thinking the same as Angie, what she said, that Pina, to me, you are living memory of your mother. Thank you.
Thank you. And if there are any other questions or comments, those who have not spoken yet, please say something. Otherwise, we can conclude this meeting and thank once again Angie for this wonderful talk, and also the acknowledgement of the indigenous people. You did it very well with the meditation. So Ali, Bita, Ian, Perimal, anything to say? Otherwise, we can conclude. Ali?
No, it's okay. Thank you very much. Just a comment, really. Ahmad was talking about in certain communities, the children look after the elderly parents. 3 months ago, we moved to Brisbane, and the community we are living in, the neighborhood we are living, there are a lot of Indian families. They are all from Sikh communities, and a lot of really parents, elderly parents, live with their children. They look after the grandchildren, and in the morning I can see the elderly men. Usually they head towards the park, which is nearby, and they spend a couple of hours together, play cards and all these things, and then they go back and look after the kids again. So it's good, really, that the children are very aware of it, the need of their parents, elderly parents, to be close to the younger generations, really, and to work with them at the same time. They are doing a service to their children by looking after grandchildren. At the same time, the children are looking after the elderly parents. So just a comment, really. And your services to your mother is really, it is written in the book of God, so don't worry. You will be rewarded for that.
Already rewarded.
Perimal, Ying.
Can I just please ask you a very soft questions?
Sure.
I saw one of the photo you put up, like your mom went out at nighttime, evening on Guji Path. Guji was a very high-risk area, and your mom was very courageous to work on a path herself during the nightfall, the nightfall. Did you have any Kung Fu martial arts skills that you can protect your mom?
No, not at all. I did not shield Mum from life. I honestly, you may think I'm irresponsible, but I've had to, like I said, I grew up very anxious, but I've got rid of that anxiety. If my time comes, and if Mum and I, we go, but we're going to live until we die. So that's how our motto is. A lot of my friends say that their mothers don't have dementia, but they don't have the sense of living like my mum does. So I think it depends on the personalities, but we certainly, sorry.
So she had a bit of judo in herself, like Kung Fu judo or martial arts?
No martial arts.
Okay. It's Perimal or Ian? Perimal?
Yeah. Thank you, Angie.
Hi, Perimal.
It's wonderful. Welcome, Tracy, into this session. To make the long story short, we don't believe in sending our elderly to the daycare center. My mother is 94 years old. We have made the house to suit her, and we are 6 siblings, so we take turn to visit her. He said my father passed away when he was 86, and he said that there is no way that he will be sent to the home. So we visit our parents, and my mother is 94 now. And I say the same thing to my daughter here in Australia. We are not going to the home. You are going to send us to the home. We are going back to Malaysia because we don't believe in this. And I remember one couple when I came to Australia 20 years ago, Bill and Betty. They are from England. Very active and very loving couple. And I always envy them, this couple. They have five children. They are unable to look after them. They send these people to the home. And within a year, Bill passed away. After that, Betty went into dementia. And just a few months ago, she passed away. So my daughter is a specialist in Alzheimer. She do research. She said that we are not going to send our parents to the home.
Oh, very good, Parimal.
And I told her, if you are going to send us to the home, we are going back to Malaysia. Because we don't believe. Anjali, God will be very blessed with you.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know.
He will be very pleased with you. You have done a great job.
Very nice.
So my one suggestion is, which I am trying to do now, because I've been a Red Cross member for many years, many decades. During my early days, we visit the old folks home in Malaysia. We take the children with us and we do some service project with them. We cut their nails, we crop their hair, and we are with them. We know how they feel when we visit them. And they are very close to us. So in Australia now, I used to visit the elderly. So all the people here in this Zoom, we must visit the elderly people. Don't leave them alone.
Come and visit me.
Yeah, because if I come, because in my neighborhood, we have people who came from Bengal, people who have come from Tamil Nadu from Chennai, elderly people, they're living on their own. The young ones are not visiting them.
Wow.
It's very sad. So we visit them, I visit them. And now I'm from Adelaide, I'm now in Perth visiting my grandchildren. Every day I receive message from them asking me when I'm going back. So please make every effort to visit these people. Don't leave them to live in isolation. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Parimal.
I just want to say something very short.
Yes, you.
Just put it that way. I come from a big family. Mom has 6 daughters and 2 sons. And we all are over everywhere. So when Mom passed away, when Mom was getting old, none of us are around. So when you talk about the people in the East and the people in the West, why they send their family, their parents to nursing home, I myself, I feel it very bad because, I look after people, but then I don't have the chance to look after my mom because I'm away overseas. And all of us are, okay? Mom wants us to study overseas, do everything. So we all are everywhere. So none of us are beside her. It's so sad. But, it's the culture, it's not the culture, it's the way of life that we all are away, and then we can't afford to fly every day, like living next door or down the road, So I'm not sure what is the problem. So I come to the point now I'm on my own, 70 years old. So I can't blame that mom didn't look after me, or I don't look after my mom and I end up myself in this way or what, So I don't know, this is maybe the whole society is getting to the age, like our age is catching up. There's no young people. So we should encourage the young to live with the old, whether they are relatives or not. So I just feel that, I don't know. I'm not sure which is the best way out. I come to the point that I say, I don't know. I mean, even in the Oriental culture, people don't really keep their parents home because they can't. It's not that they can't afford. They just don't have the time, and they have children, their work, and in our family, I noticed that this one is in the north, this one is in the south, that one is everywhere. And dad have passed away, and mom is on her own, and she's quite happy. She said, I have my life, you should have your life. So when I come to that stage, I said, oh no, I don't know what to do, with myself. It's sad, but then your story is so touching, very touching. I think let us ponder upon it, think about it.
Yeah, good idea, Ian. Yeah, I don't know, that's just my story, but I agree with you. We're all different and all different circumstances, and it's, I don't know. I'm like you. I don't know.
So I don't know. It's really make me cry.
Oh, Ian.
Wow.
Now, Jean, just stop crying.
You can't cry with younger here.
You see, because
it's human. I'm just human.
You are human, and it's fine to cry, Young.
Yes.
Years are beautiful.
not only old lady around my area, they need me to take them to church, and I take them to church. And after the church, I took them home because they crippled, they couldn't walk. So they lean on me, pass the road and everything. I went to church every Sunday. I know the ladies, they cripple with the stick on their hands, and I take them home. I took them home. I look after them just like my own children of God. You see, that's how we do things. Because that we had to live by 10 commandments. Look after your brothers, look after your neighbors, and especially the ladies who injured or, like sick, but they need the church. So therefore we provide spiritual food for them, take them to church and bring them back. And they all are around 80, 90 years of age. And I think it is, for me, I thought that, okay, they lean on me, so I took them across the road, make them safe. So I'm not crying. I would never, I wanted to, but if I cry, they all cry.
That's wonderful. You have a very kind heart.
Thank you.
But part of our life is to cry too. It can be sometimes a happy cry, but also it can be a reflection of our life and things like that. But I think the time is almost 4 minutes past 9 o'clock, and I'm happy that almost everyone spoke except Robert. Robert, do you want to say anything?
Well, it's interesting how times have changed. Because the world was so small, children and parents lived in the same suburb or anything like that. And when one parent died, they actually moved in with the parents. It was like a separate unit built on the back of another house. These days, we've got family interstate, overseas, anywhere in the world. So we haven't got that same link or connection with family anymore.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
Like my children live in Sydney, I'm in Melbourne. Yeah.
I'll have to mention that my father had a brother and a sister. And I remember when I was very young that my grandma was shared between the three, and every month she would move to another family, and then this was rotated on and on for many years until she passed away.
Yes.
Pretty cool.
Okay.
What a blessing.
I'll stop the recording now.